AI is no longer just a buzzword. It's being put to work on the front lines of disaster response, where literally every single second counts. So let's break down how it's all happening.
We're starting in Bangkok, Thailand, where a really groundbreaking initiative has just kicked off, and it's aiming to fundamentally change how Asia prepares for and responds to natural disasters.
Okay, so let's get into what's really happening here. And look, this is not just another tech conference. This is about taking the massive interest in AI and turning it into real, practical action for the people's job it is to save lives. So here's the breakdown. You've got 50 leaders from 13 different countries across Southeast and South Asia, all gathered for the very first AI Jam for disaster management. And these weren't just tech people. Nope. They were from government agencies and nonprofits. The ones directly involved in the on-the-ground response. With backing from heavy hitters like OpenAI and the Gates Foundation, the mission was pretty simple but super urgent, to actually embed AI into the daily operational challenges that they face.
And let me tell you, the need for this kind of innovation could not be more critical. We really have to talk about the immense stakes in this region.
I want you to just imagine you're on a disaster response team for a second. You're working in a place with limited resources, you're dealing with scattered, messy data, super slow manual processes, and infrastructure that's shaky at best. All of these things can delay critical, life-saving decisions when a crisis is unfolding by the minute.
And the sheer scale of the problem, well, it's just staggering. Asia is the world's most disaster-prone region. It's home to an estimated 75% of all people affected by disasters globally. That's an absolutely enormous humanitarian challenge. The economic impact is also just immense. The World Bank estimates that in previous years, disasters have cost ASEAN countries more than $11 billion. And this isn't just about roads and buildings. It's about people's livelihoods, their communities, and entire national economies being put at risk year after year.
But here's where things get really interesting. There's this huge shift in behavior that's already underway. During recent emergencies, people on the ground aren't just waiting for official information anymore. They are actively turning to AI tools for answers and guidance.
Now, we've got the hard data to back this up. Just look at this. During a recent cyclone in Thailand, AI usage surged over 3 times the normal rate. But get this, during another one in Sri Lanka, there was a 17-fold increase in cyclone-related queries. This proves the public is already there. The demand exists, and that creates a massive opportunity for official integration.
So, knowing the urgency and seeing this trend with the public, the AI Jam really focused on building practical, tangible solutions. Let's take a look at what they actually created.
And these folks weren't just sitting around listening to talks. No, they were hands-on, building custom AI tools for these 3 supercritical areas. I mean, think about it. An AI could take dozens of fragmented text messages from the field and boom, instantly generate a coherent summary of what people need, a task that would take a human hours to do. That's the kind of practical, life-saving speed they were building.
This whole thing was built on collaboration, and the leaders from the partner organizations really hammered home what this was all about. It's worth hearing what they had to say because their perspective really defines this new frontier.
First up, Sandy Kunvatanagarn from OpenAI really hit the nail on the head. She talked about closing that huge gap between what AI can do in theory and how it's actually used out in the field. This whole initiative is about turning that powerful potential into a real, practical tool for responders.
And then you have Dr. Valerie Nkamgang Bimoyo of the Gates Foundation, who brought it all back to who this is for. It's about empowering the local experts, the people who are closest to the communities. They understand the local context, and giving them these advanced tools is one of the most powerful investments you can possibly make. Finally, Mr. Islam Perwaiz from the Asian Disaster Preparedness Center pointed out the data revolution that's happening here. He's talking about how AI can take these overwhelming amounts of data, from satellites and all sorts of Earth observation, and transform it into simple, actionable insights. That means better risk mapping, stronger early warning systems, and ultimately, faster, smarter decisions. So, the AI Jam was clearly a huge step forward, but it was really just the beginning. The big question now is, okay, so what happens next? Well, they're not waiting around. The work is already rolling into a second phase. This is all about getting those tools that were developed into actual pilot deployments, alongside deeper technical collaboration with everyone who participated. The goal is to get these AI solutions out of the workshop and into the field where they can make a difference.
And that brings us to our final thought. As this technology becomes more and more accessible and more grounded in these real-world needs, you're left with a really powerful question. Could AI one day become as standard and as essential in an emergency response kit as a radio or a first aid blanket? The work that's being done in Asia right now suggests that future might be a lot closer than any of us think.